course, the second time in recent months that we've been dealing with someone who was inadvertently either released or escaped from Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office custody. This afternoon, we are learning in our newsroom that the person that they are looking for is Khalil Bryan. This is the man on your screen right now. Apparently, an error in inmate processing allowed Khalil Bryan to be released, even though he was supposed to be held on a more than $100,000 bond. Bryan has been held on charges of possession of a firearm or weapon by a felon, aggravated assault with a firearm, which is likely a shooting, home invasion, domestic abuse, child endangerment. Those are the charges that he was initially being held for. Apparently, he was released at some point and then was rearrested after he did not show up for court the first time. So he was, formally charged in court, awaiting trial, out on bond, doesn't show back up for court, and then the sheriff's office ended up letting him out again. So we are expecting the NOPD to address this in just a few moments.
Yeah, we heard waiting on word from Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick. We do have a statement from DA Jason Williams, a pretty lengthy statement that says in part that despite those holds that Katie just mentioned, Bryan was released in error again when deputies responded to a bond posted by an unrelated individual for another inmate, failed to properly verify identity and mistakenly discharged Bryan instead. He called it a deeply troubling incident that underscores the ongoing systemic issues surrounding the exercise of custody and control over a detained individual. It is really one of the things, and we'll have that full statement on our website, wwltv.com. It is just another on a saga of ongoing situations that is happening at the Orleans Parish jail system.
Yeah, we, of course, detailed what happened several months ago when those 10 inmates escaped. One of them still on the run, Derek Groves. He has yet to be found and taken back into custody. The other 9 actually appeared in court just this week, as well as the people who are now charged with helping them to escape.
Yes.
Many people associated with this whole incident, and now this is the latest serious problem for Orleans Sheriff Susan Hudson. We have yet to hear from her in this incident, as far as I know, but we are again waiting to hear from NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, who was supposed to be taking the podium at around 4:15, so just a few minutes off of that time.
Yeah, we were alerted to this maybe about 20 or 30 minutes before it was supposed to happen. It was moved back to yet again. We're hoping that that could be because they have new information or maybe an arrest has been made, but so far they're taking all of the necessary steps. One of the things I was really curious in knowing, and we can find this out, but you said in the information that you found that he was released mistakenly today, or they were notified today that he was mistakenly released. And when you think back to the other 10 escapees that had gotten out of the Orleans Justice Center, there was a 7.5 hour, 8 hour window before people knew anything. So probably on top of this really quickly when they found out that the mistake had been made.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the time frame is. All we know right now is that is what's contained in that statement from DA Jason Williams about the fact that another inmate they thought was Khalil Bryan, was bonding out. He posted the legal bond, and so he was getting out, but instead the Orleans Sheriff's Office released Khalil Bryan, who's being held on some very serious felonies here.
Well, and I know that there are victims in the crimes here. Jason Williams did say that OPDA victims advocates have initiated victim outreach. They will continue their efforts until all victims and witnesses that are associated with Mr. Bryan's crimes or alleged crimes are prosecuted or reached. They were unable to make contact, actually, where they're dispatching investigators to make sure all affected victims are safe and taken care of and are notified, by the way, that this person is again back on the streets. But I mean, just another situation, another incident that leaves a bad stain, really, on the OPSO jail. I mean, it's just unfortunate that this keeps happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there are so many people who are involved in every case that comes through that jail and every case that comes through our justice system, especially ones like this, where these are crimes against people. There's a domestic component to this, obviously, given the nature of the charges that Khalil Bryan was being held on. So, a lot of players need to be involved here, and people who I'm sure are concerned about their own safety.
Yeah, and these charges are stemming from last year, correct?
Yes, from 2024. It looks like the Bill of Information was filed July 8th, 2024, so a little bit over a year ago now. And now, again, Brian was out on a legal bond at one point, but the problem is he failed to show up for court. And that's when the judge issued a $100,000 warrant for his arrest, a capias for his arrest. And instead of holding him on that warrant whenever he was rearrested, they ended up letting him go because they thought he was somebody else who was bonding out.
Well, right now, Superintendent Aaron Kirkpatrick is on our way to the NOPD headquarters right now, and right there on Poydras. And we just got word actually into our newsroom that Sheriff Susan Hudson does plan to be there.
Yes, so we are expecting to hear from the sheriff now to find out exactly what happened, how this went down, and what efforts are underway in order to try and find Khalil Bryan again. There is just some video of Susan Hudson, who has really had a tough go the last several months.
Yeah, you know, Susan Hudson is about to go back up for re-election right now. Quickly paused her campaign for re-election. That is after that historic escape from the Orleans Justice Center. 10 inmates, 9 back in custody now in Angola, 1 that is still on the run. So we're still in the midst of that situation happening, and it still has, like I said, an ugly stain on the Orleans Justice Center and on Sheriff Susan Hudson. So now you have this situation, which, you know, without us knowing exactly what happened and all of the steps and who was involved, without us knowing everything, Sheriff Susan Hudson still, though, sheriff of the jail and head of things that are over there. So when you have something like this happen, it still puts a negative stain on you still, again.
It certainly does. And, you know, with that political landscape in mind, we have some serious challengers running against Susan Hudson. And so politics definitely plays a role in this situation. However, at its core, this is what really matters. Khalil Bryan on the run, released mistakenly by the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office. And so hopefully we're going to find out from NOPD Superintendent Aaron Kirkpatrick and Sheriff Susan Hudson in just a few moments exactly how this mistake was made, if this was human error, if this was a clerical error, if something happened in the computer system for the Orleans Sheriff's Office, or if this was a mistake by a deputy who just thought one inmate was a different inmate. Obviously, that raises some serious questions about inmate tracking within that facility. And that's something that is at the heart and the core of what the sheriff is responsible for. So lots of questions to be asked and answered today.
We have Rachel Hanley. She's out there live for us, as well as Mike Pearlstein. He'll be joining us live as well with more information as to what's happening there. Again, we're giving you a live look that is inside of police headquarters, where we're waiting on more information from Superintendent Aaron Kirkpatrick. And we just heard that Sheriff Susan Hudson will be there as well. Hopefully they can break down exactly what happened. And we believe that this could possibly just be human error. And if it is human error, how we can stop it from happening again.
Absolutely. Do there need to be better checks in place so that this doesn't happen? Did some sort of system that is in place not work? Did, you know, a person just not take the steps that they were supposed to take in order to make sure that they were letting the right person go? I mean, there are a lot of questions still, and I'm assuming that they are working right now to try and get those answers before they come out and take the podium. This was supposed to begin just before 4 o'clock today. It was pushed back to 4:15. Now we're at 4:24. And we haven't seen them yet, but we did want to update everyone out there and bring you the latest about the fact that they are looking for an inmate who was mistakenly released.
All right, and if you're just joining us, Khalil Bryan, if we can put his picture back on your screen there, this is the person who was mistakenly released, and we don't know necessarily if he is still out and on the run or if he is back in custody. We'll learn that in a couple of minutes from the superintendent and Kirkpatrick. But he was put in prison, put in the Orleans Justice Center on some pretty serious charges.
Yes, the charges, according to court records, are possession of a firearm or weapon by a felon, aggravated assault with a firearm, home invasion, domestic abuse, child endangerment violations. So those are some serious felonies that he's being held for, that he was being held for until this accidental release. So Khalil Bryan, police, sheriff's deputies looking for him. You can see him on your screen right now. 3 different appearances of him, 3 different booking photos that you can see there. Obviously, this is not his first go with the criminal justice system, given that there are prior charges that he was being held on and then new charges filed. Those new charges actually included some drug charges and possession of stolen things. So much more minor charges. However, this situation happened because he failed to show up for court when he was released on this bond. We are just getting some information in from the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, so we'll bring that to you as soon as we can get it pulled up here.
Yeah, we do have a statement from the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office that basically gives us a little breakdown as to who Khalil Bryan is and kind of gives us more information as to what happened here. So based on, and we're just getting this in, so bear with us here. According to Sheriff Susan Hudson, the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office takes full responsibility for the clerical error that led to the mistaken release of Khalil Bryan, and they offer their sincere apology to the public, law enforcement partners, and the court. And they say the incident was the result of human error, a misidentification based on a shared last name between two individuals. So they're currently conducting a full internal investigation and can confirm that disciplinary actions will occur. They say that Mr. Bryan is facing violent and non-violent charges, as Katie just mentioned, and they are coordinating closely with law enforcement agencies. So let's listen in.
Yeah, apparently Susan Hudson just walked in the building, and there she is. So they're getting ready to brief the media and, of course, brief you all out there on this accidental release of Khalil Bryan.
Everybody good?
I have a statement to read. So the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office mistakenly released Khalil Bryan. He's an African-American male. His birthday is July the 9th, 1995. He has a criminal history that does include not only property crimes, but he does have a violent criminal history as well. It's a serious history. We're going to give it to you in a minute. But the charges against Mr. Bryan include possession of stolen property, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting an officer. Additionally, he has an active warrant from Criminal District Court Section H for aggravated assault with a firearm, domestic abuse, child endangerment, and home invasion. He was, at the time of his release, he was also being held as part of a warrant for Jefferson Parish. In addition, his criminal history includes aggravated burglary, aggravated assault with a weapon, aggravated criminal damage to property, felon in possession of a firearm, and drug law violations. At present, the New Orleans Police Department's Violent Offender Warrant Squad is actively searching for Bryan, and our department is responding with urgency. This release did not occur under NOPD's jurisdiction, but we are a team. We are a law enforcement community that works together in partnership, and so we will remain in partnership with the rest of our law enforcement community. And I do want to make an appeal to Mr. Bryan. Even though it was a mistaken release from custody, you are on notice, you are a fugitive. I'm going to ask that you turn yourself in. You and others who may be harboring him at this moment will be subject to prosecution yourself because you are on notice. Mr. Bryan is a fugitive at this point. You may always call Crime Stoppers at 822-1111. And with that, Sheriff, do you wish to make a statement?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right, good afternoon. I'm Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson. I want to make a sincere apology to the people of New Orleans. The mistaken release of Khalil Bryan was a serious error, and as sheriff, I take full responsibility. Today, July 25th, Khalil Bryan was mistakenly released from the Orleans Justice Center. The error stemmed from a clerical misidentification, where he was confused with another individual sharing a similar last name. While our systems are designed to catch these discrepancies, human error led to a breakdown in the verification process. Chief Kirkpatrick, we thank all the chiefs. We thank the New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana State Police, all of our partners on the task force for their assistance in getting him back into custody, and we do look forward to having that happen soon. Chief Kirkpatrick mentioned both his nonviolent possession, drug paraphernalia, resisting an officer, as well as his violent charges, including home invasion, aggravated assault, and domestic abuse. Upon being notified of this incident, we immediately launched an internal investigation and notified all relevant agencies. We are actively working with our partners to locate and bring him back into custody and are using the intelligence that we have to do that. The victim has been notified. That was one of the first things that we made sure to do. I want the public to know this should not have happened. It was a failure of internal processes, and the public has every right to expect better. OPOSO is conducting a full investigation, and disciplinary action will be forthcoming. This isn't about blame. This is about accountability and action, and we are taking both. We are committed to correcting the internal processes that allowed this to happen and preventing any future incidents. Thank you.
Any questions?
We'll start with you, Ms.
Yeah.
Yes, Sheriff Hudson, you said this happened today. Can you offer a timeline as to when this inmate was released, when you became aware of it, when NOPD was notified, when media was notified, et cetera?
All of that is still under investigation. As soon as we have all that, we will provide it to you. We want to make sure we get it accurately.
Mike?
Yeah, Sheriff, for you, in light of this, what measures have been taken, either disciplinary against any employees or deputies, as well as systemic, so controls are in place so that this mistake isn't repeated?
There are controls in place, and this was definitely a human error, so we know that. The folks who were on duty will be called in to be questioned. That's going on right now. We'll find out exactly what did happen, because we don't know until we talk to them. We know that there were similar last names. That's all that we know. And as soon as we find out exactly what happened, we will alert you as well.
Was there a rough time when the release happened?
We're not going to put out any information right now until we confirm all that, all the details of that.
Rick?
Oh,
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if during the process of releasing Khalil Bryan, did your employees tell you that he expressed any confusion at all?
We have not interviewed them yet. So as soon as we have all that information, we'll be able to provide some information, more detail about what happened and why it happened.
Rick?
So, like you said, he's being treated as a fugitive right now, so he can be charged with the same exact charges that you would put on the 10 inmates, similar to those, right?
I'm going to turn those questions over to the New Orleans Police Department.
So at this point, we are putting him on notice that he is a fugitive. He may know he was mistakenly released. We don't know that. That will be up to the district attorney's office as to what type of charges would be filed, if any.
WDSU?
I'm curious to know more about his description. On the Facebook page, it shows that he has two hairstyles. One of them looked like dreadlocks, and the other photo that you all posted, he has a low cut. So what is the most up-to-date description of the suspect?
We'll have to provide that to you.
Go ahead, Gabby.
Couple questions. I know that, of course, y'all are talking about his criminal history, and I think that we're aware that some of his criminal history is out of separate jurisdictions. I'm curious if you're working at all in partnership with Jefferson Parish authorities on this.
We are definitely separate jurisdictions, and so the jail is under complete control of the sheriff's office. It's the Orleans Parish Sheriff office that has control of the jail. NOPD, New Orleans Police, has nothing to do with the jail in terms of the management of it. But I do want to say, and I don't care if it was the sheriff's office or Jefferson Parish or LSP or anyone who is in our community of law enforcement, we are going to work together. We're going to be a team. We're going to help one another, and that is my position with the sheriff. We're here to help, but we are here to also make sure our community is on notice. Their safety is number one to all of us, okay?
And what is your message to the community who might be frustrated and scared at this moment because of this mistaken release? And I don't know if Sheriff Hudson, you might want to answer that.
I think the sheriff has apologized, but I'll let her speak again.
Yeah, you know, our job is to hold them and to make them face justice. So this is not anything that we want for our community. We want our community to know that we will get this right, we will get him back into custody, we will get this right, and there will be accountability for these actions. Now, this does happen. It does happen. 11,000 people come through the jail per year. There are going to be mistakes. There are human beings who work there. But we have to make sure that they're following processes that are in place for a reason, And if they didn't follow those processes, I have to hold them accountable.
Okay, thank you all for coming out. We appreciate it. Any further information, we'll release it.
Sheriff Susan Hudson and NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick updating the public on the accidental release of an inmate who was being held on some pretty serious charges. Apparently, he was accidentally mistaken for another inmate with a similar name and was released again mistakenly.
Yeah, one of the questions that we didn't get answered, Mike Pearlstein, he was out there live for us, and we heard him ask the question about the timeline. We don't know necessarily what time this happened or when they realized that this person was released accidentally. They said that they're still investigating, they're still interviewing the people who were involved, the deputies that were involved, and that made that an error, but they did say that this was a human error. And Sheriff Susan Hudson did apologize for this, saying that they understand that the community needs better. She apologized for the error, and she knows exactly, especially given all that has happened at the Orleans Parish Justice Center in the last couple of weeks, not even months.
She said it's not about blame, it's about accountability, and that she does plan on issuing disciplinary sanctions to whoever made this mistake after that internal investigation is completed. Now, what we do know from court records is that the court was notified today about this situation. So whether or not this inmate was released today or 3 days ago, we don't know at this point. That's the timeline that we're going to have to wait to find out until her investigation wraps up. So lots of calm heads, calm voices this afternoon out of NOPD headquarters talking about the fact that this inmate was accidentally released. Khalil Bryan, you're seeing him on your screen right now. That's one of the photos that they say they couldn't say which one was the most recent photo. So he does look a little different in those 3 booking photos. But they also mentioned that they said they have notified him that he is considered, a fugitive at this point. And so they said that he may not have even realized whether or not he was supposed to get out or not. So.
All right, so right now we're going to stand by and get more information. We do have statements from DA Jason Williams, also a statement from Sheriff Susan Hudson. You just heard from Susan Hudson live, and on the WWL Louisiana News at 5 o'clock, we're going to give you all the details that we have, including live updates from inside of that press conference we just heard there.
Yep, we'll see you then.